Hey guys, welcome back. You having issues climbing that hill or pulling a heavy load? So there's a few things I want to show you on your truck and that also may be overlooked. Checking the air filter is a big important part of looking at your truck and maintenance. So if you have air restriction going into the turbo, it's not going to give you enough boost power for that power that you need to climb the hill or pull a load. Now, also with the fuel filter. With the fuel filter completely all the way to the top, you know, the filter's breaking down. That means you're having fuel restriction, which will also lose power, or not lose power, not have enough power to climb that hill or pull that load. And then the third thing is boost. If you are leaking air out of your charge air cooler, right, and that air is going out to the atmosphere and it's not going across the intake to burn that fuel and give you that power, that would also give you a sluggish and not enough power to pull that load or go up a hill. All right, guys, so today we're here at this Freightliner Cascadia, right? I have a 2019 that's here. We're gonna talk about the air filter, right? The air filter is located right here on top of the engine. There's two ways you can check to see if your air filter is dirty or you have some sort of restriction. What you're gonna do is you can look in the top portion right here, and what you wanna do is look for any like plug little ports, little air, passages, not plugged up so you can have proper airflow going across your air filter. All right, and then the other thing is like if it looks super dirty, like you see it's dusty or really like blackish or grayish, is a good indication that your filter is dirty. And then the other part, just to confirm that you have a restriction issue, on the air filters, on the other side, there's usually a air gauge restriction gauge. And then what it'll do, it could be yellow or red. Once you see a red or yellow in the clear part of the glass, that's a good indicator that you need to have your air filter replaced. Every time you replace an air filter, the technician will hit the reset button and the red or the yellow tab will go back into where it's all clear. And then as you keep driving, if restriction happens more and more because it's getting dirty, then you'll start seeing more of the red or the yellow indicating on the sight glass itself. So that's a big thing when it comes to your air filter. Without proper airflow, your turbo can't get the air and you can't get it going. You'll start losing power. Also, if you don't take care of that, you can also cause your turbo damage, and that's gonna be very expensive. All right, guys, so now then the second part we're gonna talk about is our fuel water separator or your fuel filters, right? Majority of these trucks have fuel water separators. Like this 2019 Freightliner Cascadia, we have a fuel water separator. As you can see, there's no fuel here, but it's just below the bowl, which is where you wanna be. This truck just got a brand new fuel filter. Now, keep in mind is, let's just say that this was replaced like 2 days ago, and then you see the fuel all the way to the top where the black rim is. And there's actually an indicator right here that says, replace fuel filter. That's when the fuel level reaches here and it needs to be replaced. But if you replaced it 2 days ago and you saw that it's all the way up, there's a good chance that you picked up some bad fuel from where you got it from. So the only way you're really gonna fix it is burn through it and then put fuel treatment in it, and then just replace the fuel filter again and then go about your way. Now, if your truck doesn't have a fuel water separator, right, and it just has a fuel filter, most of the trucks, you can't see it. It's gonna be a spin on or a drop in. So make sure that you stay on top of your maintenance, right? Keep a log, follow the sticker on the windshield if it was already put on by the service place. Let's just say that you just did fuel filters, but you had power before and now you don't. Just remember, something changed. That means your filter got replaced. We can't promise that every filter that you get that's brand new is gonna be great. They do collapse, they do fall apart. There's no guarantee. So if that happens, just say, hey, go back to the shop. You need the fuel filters replaced, and then you may see a change already, and now you know that the fuel filter is the problem. So always keep in mind that if you had no issue, and now that you do, and you don't have enough power, tell yourself, what changed? I did an oil change. Let's swap out those fuel filters again. It does happen. All right, now the third thing, right, that helps with power, boost. So on this side, you can see, and this is on the driver's side, you have a connection hose, right? It goes from your charge air cooler going into your intake. Most common issues that you'll have is a broken clamp, a loose clamp, or maybe a worn out hose. So if you have a partner that's in the cab, tell them to throttle it and then put your hands around the clamps and feel the hose, right? See if you have any leaks, and you do the same thing up front, across the front of the motor. Turn the AC off so the fan's not blowing, and then just tell them to rev it, right? You go up, you go down, and you let off, you go down, So all you're doing is creating that boost so you could try to find that leak. You want to listen to any whistles, swooshing of air, or if it sounds like, you know, shh, every time he steps down on the pedal, that's a good indication that you have a leak. All right, guys, so now we're on the passenger side of the vehicle, and what we're going to talk about is the air box. What I indicated was the little regulator that's going to show you restriction of the air filter. So right here on this particular unit, you know, the Freightliner Cascadia 2019, it's mounted on the box right here. So you'll see the center part being clear. Now, when you start seeing the tab turn red or yellow, that's indicating that you're having some airflow restriction. And so if you can see, it's on the other side, right? The air filter's over there. So what you're doing is they're looking for how much suction is being pulled by the turbo, because the turbo is bringing in air. So if it has restriction, it's gonna suck in the little tab to indicate that you have a restriction, and that's when you need to replace your air filter. Now, also on this passenger side, we have the charge air cooler. This is where your turbo pushes air, right? They call this the compressor side. And what you wanna do is do the same thing you did on the driver's side. You wanna check the clamps, make sure they're not broken, loose, as well as the hoses, that there's no holes and they're not, no indication of leaks. And you would do the same thing. You would have your partner or a friend to help you throttle down to create that boost. You're gonna see these expand, and you put your hands around it, feel for that air. And if you feel any leak, tighten up the clamp, or may have to replace it, or even the hose. So if you see dry rot, I highly recommend that you replace it. And if you see any of these bands, you can see them right here. There are little red bands around them. If they're missing or bulged or broken, go ahead and replace the hose. By doing all these things will help you try to find where you're losing your power. All right, guys, as you saw in this 2019, I pointed out that this air filter was dirty as heck. So we ended up replacing it, and guess what? We got that power. By doing this, one will save you not hundreds, but a few $1,000s, especially if you're on the side of the road. This will avoid those road calls that are gonna charge you to something per hour from the time they leave to the time you get back. Also, by staying on top of replacing the air filter, you don't have to worry about replacing that $2,000 turbo when it blows out. So, quick recap on 3 things that we learned today, right? Check your air filter, first and foremost. It is one of the easiest things to do. Check visually to see if it's dirty, plugged, or maybe some leaves in there, as well as look at the restriction gauge. If you see that plunger down, you see any sort of yellow, red, and it's completely covered, that's a good indicating that the filter's plugged. And you guys can do that by yourself. And then the other thing is the fuel filter. Just keep in mind, if the fuel water separator, the fuel is all the way up on the top of the bowl, 2 things, right? May picked up bad fuel. Don't forget to put some fuel additive in there and then replace the fuel filter. Or if it's up just because of time, replace the fuel water separator. And if you guys don't have it, remember, start out with the fuel filter and then see if you got your power back. And then last and foremost, right? Boost is what we need. So if you have any air leaks around your boost areas, the hose, the clamps, you know, those need to be fixed, replaced, or tightened. You know, inspect those clamps. Are they loose? Are they broken? Are they even missing? Inspect the hose for dry rot, wear and tear, or a hole, replace it. And don't forget to have your buddy, friend, colleague throttle that pedal down and make sure that there's no leaks, so avoid those whistles, whooshing air, so you can have that boost and get that power. So if you guys like what you saw today, don't forget to pound that like button. And guys, if you have any questions, concerns, or something that I may have missed, leave a comment at the bottom. And don't forget to subscribe. Guys, I'm here to save you money, and I want to see you guys around at the next video.